The energy I've been reflecting on this week is, what if we are the ones standing in our own way of doing the things that we want to do in life? It is so easy to blame external situations, your boss, your work, your parents, how you were raised, your partner, or your relationship. It's so easy and almost automatic to use these as excuses as to why we're not tapping into our full potential and going after our dreams, whether that is to move abroad and go work abroad, or to start your own business. Maybe that is to live in a better house, or to change your job and get a new one. Because shifting that blame to something outside of you, it is so much easier than taking that responsibility on yourself. But I can assure you that realization will come, and I know you know what I'm going to say, okay? Imagine you are on your deathbed. How would you feel when it finally hits you that it's been down to you all this time? And I know you know this because you can already feel this anger and frustration bubbling up from time to time, because deep down in the core, you know that you are the one responsible. And it's almost like you're waiting for that permission from someone to do that thing, to leave your job, or to just pack your bags and leave your country. And you keep justifying as to why you're not ready. There is always a reason, when all you're doing is you're delaying your own abundance. Because first, for the good things to come in, you must clear out what's not working. Otherwise, there is no space for the good things, for the abundance to come in. And not choosing is also making a choice. And if you keep saying now is not the right time, right? We hear this all the time. When people tell you there will never be a right time, what they're truly saying is there will never be the right time until you give the permission to yourself. Because the only thing that's not right at the moment is your level of self-worth, because you don't know how worthy you are of going after what you want, of going after your dreams. Because somewhere down, deep down, you don't believe that you can achieve them, or you don't believe, even worse, that you deserve what you want in your life. We are responsible for our own suffering just as much as we are responsible for our own success, because we as humans, we are capable of taking any misfortune, whether that is a dysfunctional relationship. I've got a personal example of this from 2020. For 2 years, up until the start of 2020, I was in an emotionally abusive relationship. And I've been wanting to get out of that relationship way before it ended. But I kept thinking of every excuse under the sun as to why I could not. And no surprise, I was blaming external situations. And then when I got out of it, I realized how trivial the excuses that I was bringing up were. Like, how easy it would have been to just get out of it when I wanted to get out of it. So whether it is a relationship, whether it is your job, whether it is an accident, whatever the situation, whatever the misfortune, from any negative situation, there is always something good that will come out of it, because that pain, it can always be turned into something. And what's coming to me right now is the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. If you haven't read it, I suggest that you read it. But it is about how we can alchemize the pain into something good, or how we can reframe any disadvantage or a misfortune, how we can reframe it to see the good that comes out of it. Like, even when I had my bike accident and I tore my leg open, I was forced to sit in my own silence for all those weeks. It was months, actually. And at first, the first thing that came to my mind was, why is there always something happening? Why can't it be smooth or plain sailing for a while? And then I flipped it to, okay, what is the universe trying to tell me, because I realized clearly there is something I'm sitting on, clearly there is something I'm sleeping on. And when I tell you, as soon as I did that, the clarity that I got from those weeks was like no other. But if I didn't shift that perspective, if I sat in that victim mentality, I wouldn't have gotten what I got out of that situation. And it's not a pretty process, which is why some people are more comfortable sitting in their own discomfort and not facing what is really in front of them. And dare I say, taking responsibility of how fucked up their life is. But one thing to be careful, and I've seen this and I've been guilty of this myself. In the process of healing and growth, it is so easy to forget how to live. And again, no one will give you the permission to do so before you give it to yourself. You must realize the extent of choice that you have in this life. And yes, it will be super deflating at first. You will feel down, you will feel frustrated, and you will feel all the negative feels, because you finally accept that you've been the one holding yourself back. But this is the first step. You can't give this permission to yourself, this permission I'm talking about, until you fully accept that you've been the one responsible for holding yourself back. But once you get past that, those feelings of guilt, and that I mentioned that guilt is one of the lowest vibrations, one of the lowest frequencies you can be vibrating on. So it's okay to feel it, feel all the feelings, but do not stay in that frequency. Just acknowledge it and then move past it. Once you move past those negative feelings, not only you will feel relief, but you will be unstoppable in achieving what you want. Lately, after the incident and stopping fitness coaching, I've been sitting in this in between. And yes, I did need these months to get this clarity, because I would not have gotten to this point, in a sense, like mentally, emotionally, spirituality. Like, I would not have gotten to this point if I did not have those weeks and months, like, to get that clarity and like sitting in my own silence. But now it's getting to the point where I can almost feel like that itchiness to move and to start putting myself out there with my new business. And at the same time, there is that fear of being seen. But then I remind myself, not to be morbid, but I remind myself, if I was to die tomorrow, this would be my biggest regret, and definitely one that I don't want to take with me. Like, my biggest regret is that I don't show my true self. I am not my real self, or I'm not tapping into my full potential and going after what I want. Because not living life to your true potential and not showing your real self is actually very, very selfish. Dare I say, it's one of the most selfish things you can do, when you don't show who you really are to people. So one thought I want to leave you with this week is, what is the one thing that you can't stop thinking about? The one thing that you really, really want to do? Because it was placed in your mind for a reason. So think about that and give yourself permission to go after it, because no one will show up for you before you show up for yourself, and no one will give you the permission before you give that permission to yourself.